Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Indie Interactive, where we talk about making great music, connecting with your audience, and growing your business. My name is Bree Noble. I'm the founder of the Female Entrepreneur Musician, Women of Substance Radio podcast. That's the page you're on right now, and the Female Musician Academy. And I'm excited to be with you today to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is getting over that procrastination. Man, it is hard to deal with procrastination when there are things that we don't like to do, and we all have them, right? We all have those things that we loathe doing for whatever reason, or we're going through a phase with that particular thing that we just don't want to do it, and we're just dragging our feet and all that. And you know what? We all deal with it. So we have to figure out strategies to get ourselves to do these things, because these are the kinds of things that are holding us back from making our progress in our music career. So I'm going to get into these strategies in a sec. I just want to see if anybody is showing up live here. I know it is a holiday in the US, so there may not be as many people on Indie Interactive today than usual, but I hope a few of you will show up and say hi. And I'm going to actually refresh my page just to make sure that this is all working well. And then we will go for it. Okay, cool. Looks like everything is going well here. So I'm going to jump into our content for today. Oh, awesome. Beth is here. I'm sure people will be showing up. As I said, it's a holiday in the US. So, you know, things are a little bit crazy around here too. I've got my kids home and I'm banning them from the internet so I can do this live stream. But I'm very big on consistency, as you know, we're going to be discussing today too. And just because it's a holiday, it's still a Monday. And I feel like if I were to decide not to do my live stream today, then number one, it would send the signal that I don't always show up every Monday, and you guys might not show up. And plus, it'll just make it easier next week for me to go, oh, you know, I'm taking a little break. You know, I took a break last week. Maybe I could take a little bit longer break. No, not doing it. You know what? Consistency is a big reason that I have been successful over the past few years growing this business. And that is what I want to teach you guys. So that's why I'm here on a Monday, even though it's a holiday in the US. And, you know, thank you guys for showing up. Hey, Jesse. Okay, so let's jump into this. I'm having a lot of fun with having these slides here so I can, you know, kind of visually show you what I'm talking about instead of just using note cards and things. So obviously our topic for today is strategies to help you conquer those music tasks that you hate. And there are them, you know, maybe you hate administration, maybe you hate booking, maybe you hate, maybe you're the kind of person that loves starting things but hates finishing them. Maybe you hate dealing with emails. You know, there's a lot of things in our business that we have to do that we may not love. So let's talk about some strategies in a sec. And the reason that I'm choosing this topic is because tomorrow we'll be starting the Book Like a Boss training. Many of you are already signed up for that. If you're not, you can go to femmusician.com/Tarab, Tarab, and get signed up for that, because for many of us, booking is something that you hate, right? Something that you find every reason in the book not to do, find other things to do instead of. Those are the things that you need to dive into head first, because they're the things that really are holding you back. So I thought this would be a good subject for today. So let's talk about a couple of ways that we can avoid this procrastination. And one thing, you know, we're going to approach this from two different angles, from the carrot angle and from the stick angle. So, you know, some people respond better to rewards and some people respond better to, you know, threats. So I'm going to give you both sides of this. And depending on where I'm at, I use different versions of this, because yuck, booking. That's what Jesse says. Yeah, I know. I feel ya. So I'm going to approach it from the carrot angle and the stick angle. So the first one, and we're going to start, you know, always start with the good news before the bad news, I think, is the carrot angle. And the first one we're going to start with is talking about a way we can set up a reward system for ourselves. So one thing, and I do get a lot of these ideas, I have to give credit where credit's due. A lot of my ideas, at least the consolidation of them, is from James Clear. He's got a great blog about productivity. He helps me kind of consolidate the ideas that I'm already using in my business and be able to articulate them. So I kind of use a lot of these strategies. And then when he is talking about them, I think, yep, that's one I use. Okay, that helps me describe it. So the first one is called only do X when doing Y. So some examples of this, before we get to music examples, I'll give you some examples that maybe from my life, or maybe that are easier for you to visualize. So what I do is, if I want to make myself do something, I attach something else that I love to it. And I say, I can only do that one thing that I love when I'm doing the thing that I don't want to do, the thing I'm procrastinating about. So for example, I can only listen to business podcasts when I'm on my walk or when I'm exercising. Or I can only listen to an audiobook that I'm like engrossed in and I'm really excited about, but I can only listen to it when I'm exercising. So that's going to encourage me to exercise. You know, I might be in a cliffhanger in the story, and I'm going to really want to exercise because I've made this rule for myself. Another one is like, I love listening to 80s music. I don't know how many of you know I'm a total 80s music freak because I grew up in the 80s and was really into, you know, the top 40 and all that stuff. And so I only listen to 80s music while I'm doing the dishes because I hate doing the dishes. And it does seem like there are just more and more dishes every day. And so I only listen to that while doing the dishes instead of listening to it when I'm, you know, doing other things. I force myself to do it only when I do the dishes so I can look forward to doing the dishes, not because I love doing the dishes, but because I get to listen to 80s music. And it also helps me keep my mind off of doing the things I hate. So a way that you can apply this to things in your business, there are, you know, there's obviously things that you can't do. You can't listen to podcasts. Maybe you can listen to music, but I can't listen to podcasts while I'm doing administrative tasks because it's too distracting. But one thing you can do, and I've been doing this as well, is you can say, I only get to drink my favorite drink while I'm doing these administrative tasks that I hate, whether it's booking, whether it's, you know, calling people for bookings, whether it's answering emails, whether it's like tracking your sales inventory on a spreadsheet, or, you know, doing things that your mileage or things you need to do for your taxes. Like, who loves any of that, right? But you can reward yourself by saying, I only get to drink my favorite drink while I'm doing those things. So it's going to make me look forward to it. Or I only get to, and I hate to make things food related because, you know, for me, that could be a trigger, but, you know, I only get to, you know, eat my favorite chips and salsa or something while I'm doing this activity that I don't like doing. You know, if you guys, I'd love to hear if you guys come up with an application of this that you could do, or maybe you have done in your business. Okay, so let's go on to the second version of the carrot, which is that you, I can't see the slide until it comes up on the screen, so I'm going to wait because there we go. Bribing yourself. So I am all for bribing myself because it works. So things I used to do when I was growing up, when I was doing my homework, especially if it was math, you know, because it was such drudgery, is I used to like give myself a little bowl of chocolate chips or nuts or something. And every time I did a problem or two problems, I'd be allowed to eat one. And so if you can come up with a bribery system, like not a like destructive bribery. I mean, I don't see anything destructive about this. This was a snack I was going to eat anyway. I just used it to, you know, portioned it in order to force myself to do the things that I wanted to do and use it as a little bit of a carrot. So are there any things that you can do in your own business setting where you can give yourself a little bit of rewards along the way maybe I write these 2 booking emails, or I make this 1 booking call, and then I get to take a sip of my coffee, or, whatever it is, whatever works for you. But I found that is a really useful way of bribing myself. Let's see, love ideas of attaching something I love to something I hate. Yeah, I mean, I find this to be really helpful. Oh, good morning, Robin. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Cindy. So glad I'll use US people. All you US people are out on a holiday. I love it. I am as well, because for me it's a work day. But let's see if you guys have any other ideas about this reward system. So if you guys just joined, I've been talking about using ways to reward yourself for doing the things that you hate doing. Like, okay, so one thing I mentioned was reward yourself with things that you like while you're doing the thing that you hate. And of course, Jesse said a big glass of whiskey. Of course, yeah, sometimes I do have a margarita next to me while I'm doing stuff that I hate, knowing that it's stuff that doesn't require like my full brain power. So if you've got something like that, where it's just like a tedious task, like data entry, absolutely, you can have your favorite spirit next to you if that helps. If that helps encourage you, but obviously not if you need to be on the ball. I'm not going to be writing an important email where I actually have to like word things correctly and not have typos while I'm drinking a margarita in the afternoon. So I write those always first thing in the morning anyway. Okay, so let's move on to the stick ideas of kind of punishing yourself for not doing it. And things like this work differently for everybody. Some people love the carrot, some people love the stick, depending on how you're feeling and what the thing is. You may need to experiment with the carrot and the stick. But if you guys come up with any versions of the reward system that I was talking about, yeah, put it in the chat. I'd love to hear it. I love creative applications of these ideas. Okay, so the first version of the stick idea is going to be one of my favorite things that you guys know I talk about all the time, and that's accountability. And the reason that is important is because it does provide kind of immediate consequences to you if you don't do the thing, and that is the shame of having to tell somebody that you didn't do it. So this is kind of why I create these posts in our groups of like, state what it is you're going to do this week, and then, hopefully you come back and actually do that. Now that's just kind of personal accountability because nobody's going to be following up on you. But then of course in the academy, I encourage people to have accountability groups, and they do meet together and they do ask each other if they did the thing they said they were going to do. And I find this to be one of the most successful things that works for me, is just knowing that I need to report back to somebody. And I talk so much about accountability. I'm not going to harp on this too much here, but whether it's getting a mentor to be accountable to, some people, they coach with me because they just want someone to keep them accountable. Some people find peers that help them do that, whether that's online or local. So I definitely encourage you to find an accountability system that works for you. So here's another one that I think is kind of funny, but it really can work if this is the kind of thing that motivates you. And I call it positive gambling. So what this is basically making a bet on yourself. And I've talked about this in the past in a few different ways. One way is that you can, say that you're going to give money to something if you don't succeed with what you said you're going to succeed with. So you can put some money aside, there's actually services online like Stick, I think it's STICKK, where you can actually do this kind of thing, where you make a bet against yourself. And if you don't succeed with the thing you said you were going to do, then that money that you put away either will you can kind of choose, is it going to go to something good or is it going to go to something bad? So I heard about somebody during the elections in the US a couple of years ago that said that he was going to have to he hated Trump, and he said he was going to have to give to the Trump campaign if he didn't, do the thing he said, which I think with him was like go to the gym every day for 90 days or something. And that was a huge motivator, because not only did he have to give up money to a thing that he hated, but he also said he would post on social media that he did that he gave to the Trump campaign. And he wasn't allowed to say, oh, I did it because I had to, because I made a bet against myself. So, the fear of embarrassment was really successful for him. Now, not everybody reacts well to that, and that just might paralyze you. So I'm not encouraging you to use that method if you don't think that will work for you, but that's one option. Hey, I want to say hi to Matungi and Beth Fulcomer. Great to see you. Okay, so that's the stick number 2 of how you can kind of encourage yourself. And you can also do this like by making bets with friends, like with accountability partners. You can say kind of like, the weight loss challenge that I've done in the past, where, you put money in a pot, and then whoever was able to do the thing, got money, and then the people that didn't get the money. So you can be creative with this as well. Okay, so I'm going to reload this page because it's not showing me my slide, which is a little bit annoying. Okay. Okay. So the next one, so we've talked about the carrot and the stick. Now I want to give you a couple little hacks that work for me. And I've mentioned this before, but the 2-minute rule, I mean, if something is going to take you 2 minutes, just do it, right? And this doesn't always work. But if I'm in the right mindset and I see something that comes across my desk that's going to take me 2 minutes, I do it. So every once in a while, I get an email from someone, and then I get an email back from them saying, because I responded right away. And they're like, oh my gosh, you responded so quickly. Now, I don't always respond quickly. Sometimes things pile up before I can get to them, and I'm focused on another project. But if there's something that comes into my view that I can do in only 2 minutes, it's so much easier to just do it than have to take the mental energy of, okay, now I got to gear myself up to do this thing that I don't want to do. And, then the idea of it maybe sitting in your inbox or sitting in your to-do list, and every time you see it, you're feeling guilty because you didn't do it. I mean, that's just a lot of mental energy we don't need to spend. So if something comes across your desk that you can do in 2 minutes, just do it. That's my suggestion. Hey, Catherine. And that has served me really, really well lately, is just doing the 2-minute rule. And it just keeps you from procrastinating on a lot of things. And it's also helped me with my inbox 0 that I talked about a few months ago, and that I've been able to maintain that almost inbox 0. It's not 0, it's probably inbox 15. But I've been able to really maintain that because of this 2-minute rule. Okay, and then finally we are on breaking it down. So I talk about this a lot, when we talk about goals and breaking those down into action steps. And then even those action steps, you can break down into smaller things. And so that is going to help you not procrastinate, because the things that you need to do are so small that they don't seem that daunting. And then, a lot of them will fit into the 2-minute rule, right? If you break them down enough, they are going to fit into the 2-minute rule, and you're going to be able to do them. And when you break them down and you do these individual little bite-sized tasks, you're going to get that feeling of momentum, because you're going to be able to be accomplishing things a lot faster instead of looking at them as bigger projects. So let me break all this back down again and go through the different things that we talked about. So first we talked about the very first carrot option, which was only do X when you do Y, which means find something that you love and only do that when you do the thing that you hate. So you have that incentive to actually do that. And I gave some examples of that earlier. If you missed them, you can go back and watch the replay. Then we talked about the bribing rule. So for me, not all bribing is bad. Self-bribing can work really well. And so I would often have something to eat or drink with me, or maybe some little like fun tasks that I wanted to do that I only got to do once I did one of the things I didn't like, you know. So my examples were like, you know, having a small bowl of something that you wanted to eat next to you, and you only get to eat one after you've done one thing that you hated, you know, and that can go on. Or, you know, taking a sip of a drink that you like, or maybe you really like being on social media, and so after you've done 20 minutes of what you hate, you can go on social media for 5 minutes, you know, whatever works for you. Then we talked about the stick methods, which meant that you're going to deal with consequences if you don't do the thing that you're procrastinating about. The first one was about making sure that you have accountability and using that accountability shame as a positive force in forcing yourself to do the thing because you know you have to report back to somebody if you don't do it. And then we talked about positive gambling, which means bet that you're going to get the thing done, but, you know, make a bet. And if you don't do it, then you have to either give money away to, you know, somebody. Like I've seen people do this, and they put on social media, if I don't do this thing, I'm giving $50 to X person. And then you have to report back. And if you didn't do it, you did have to give that money to that person. Or you bet against yourself, and you use, there's some services online where you can actually take your money, reserve it. And then if you don't do the thing, it will go to a charity of your choice, either a charity that you like or a charity that you hate. Then we talked about the 2-minute rule. Obviously, if you can do it in 2 minutes, then don't procrastinate, just do it. And then we talked about breaking it down and making sure that all the tasks that are involved in this thing you're procrastinating are small enough that you are basically removing all of your barriers and excuses to actually doing them. And some of them become part of the 2-minute rule because they're so small, there's no reason why you can't do them. And then you develop this sense of momentum that I'm getting things done. I'm feeling really good about my day because I'm doing these things in little 2-minute increments. And pretty soon you'll see that you've accomplished a bunch of things on your list. So I want to ask you guys, number one, what are the things that you hate? You know, I'm sure that there'll be many people in here that can identify with you with the things that you hate. I mean, I know for me, occasionally it's writing emails because I just get really tired of writing them. Occasionally it's doing some spreadsheet work, or it's, let's see, what are the things that I hate? You know, another strategy that I use that I know I've talked about before is I just do the things that I hate first thing, because the way I'm wired, that's when I have the most energy and momentum is in the morning. If that's not you, then save them for the evening when you get your second wind, and do all the things you hate first thing in the evening when you sit down to start working on music stuff. So know yourself, know your brain power, know your focus levels during the day. And they seem a lot less daunting when you're in that good brain space. So I can tell you from my experience, if I want to do something and I'm thinking about doing it at 6 p.m., there's just no way I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to be sandbagging myself. But then if I get up in the morning and at 4 a.m., I think about doing it, it doesn't seem that hard and daunting. So just know yourself and know your psychology and how you work, and use that to your advantage. So is there anything, you guys, that you want to say, you want to proclaim that you hate, and you're going to actually work on finding ways, carrot or stick, to make sure that you do it? And Beth says, I hate booking. I get it. At least I think I do. Now that's good, based on my procrastination. So it may be that you've built this thing up as being so hard and terrible. And because you haven't done it enough, you're thinking in your mind, oh, I hate this thing. But if you actually force yourself to do it, you may find that you don't hate it. I've found with for example, live video. People just really, really freak out about live video. They're so scared to do it. But once they get out there and start doing it, they realize, oh my gosh, not only is this not as hard as I thought, but it's a little bit addicting. So, you know, make sure that you really hate it because you've done it and you hate it, not just because you're dreading it. You've never done it. You're scared of what it might be like. That's not actually hating it yet. It's email. Yeah. I totally get it. Yeah, so that's a good point, Catherine. Catherine says she's guilty of checking her email when she doesn't actually have time to deal with it. And then she gets into like it stacking up because she didn't actually have time to deal with it when she checked it. And then it becomes even more daunting because it's like, oh, now I have this box full of stuff that I haven't dealt with. Oh, I need to avoid that because I don't even want to deal with it. I'm just kind of reading through what you guys. Facebook Live has been like that for me. Yep, but you're doing it, aren't you? So, and I don't think you hate it either, Beth. Let's see. So Matungi says she doesn't procrastinate on things that she hates. She procrastinates on things that she needs to work really hard to be consistent with. And yeah, I mean, that's almost, maybe you hate consistency. It's kind of interesting because maybe what you really don't like is the idea of doing the same thing all the time. And, you know, for some people that scares them, like life is going to become boring if I'm consistent and I really do go live on Facebook every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific, you know, but I actually look forward to it, even though, you know, in some ways it's stressful because I have to do it every week at the same time. Also, it makes me feel good because I've started my week being consistent with the thing that I said I was going to do. Yeah, so Beth says trial and error with these ideas. Yes, I mean, try them. Try the carrot versions that I mentioned. Try the stick. See which ones work better for you. Depending on the kind of person you are, you know, you may need that, like that threat. Maybe the carrot isn't enough. Trying to keep up with all you guys' comments. There's so many. So she says, what is your strategies for a skill set that you really, really need? And you're still not able to get all excited about it. That's a hard one. How do you make it routine? Again, I think that particular thing, attaching it to something you love or building in some kind of reward system might work for that. And, you know, if it's a skill set, then what you really, really need is consistency in order to develop the skill set. Does the now this is a really good question, Beth. Does the 2-minute rule cause you to get distracted? Okay, I will admit, sometimes it does cause me to get distracted. The key is that you have to be disciplined with yourself. For example, if you're working on a project and then you think in your mind, I wonder if I got any email, or I've been waiting for an email from somebody, I'll just check. And then you look at your box and then you see like 3 emails that you could answer in 2 minutes, but then you've been distracted, right, from the project you were working on. So you need to force yourself to take planned breaks. If you want to kind of keep up with your email that way, then work on the project you're working on for 30 minutes, then take a 5-minute break, go check your email and deal with those things in 2 minutes. But yes, it can be very tempting because you're thinking to yourself, I want to keep my email box really clean. So I want to follow the 2-minute rule, but then it may cause you to have this little thing in the back of your mind, like, I don't want my emails piling up. I've got 2 minutes. I better go do that right now. And that might get you distracted from what you're working on. So you got to be disciplined with how you deal with the 2-minute rule. If you know that you're going to be looking at a thing that will probably have something in there that you can deal with in 2 minutes and you're going to want to, then be disciplined about when you go check that thing, whether it's social media or email. You know, like I've always said, like, compartmentalize these things. Don't leave your notifications on so you hear the little ding when something comes in, or a message comes in on Facebook, or a message comes in your email. Like, don't leave those on, because then you will be tempted to check. Then you'll see something you want to use the 2-minute rule for, and then you've lost a bunch of time. So just looking through all these. Wow. That's awesome, Matungi. So Matungi says with her time in the academy, she's actually dented 75% of the musicpreneur items I used to hate. I love hearing that. Oh my gosh, I want to like put that up on a billboard. That's awesome. Let's see. Yeah, I don't like doing something every day. I get that. I mean, I've always been the kind of person that likes consistency, but I have a husband who doesn't. And just the idea of having the same thing happen every day was like threatening to him. He didn't like that. But as he's gotten older, he realized that he's going to be happier overall if he actually conquers that consistency. And, you know, he sees a lot more long-term results. And yes, you have to sacrifice that feeling that, you know, you can't live spontaneously all the time. But I think that, you know, as you get older and you really want to accomplish things in your life, you have to give up a little bit of that spontaneity in order to make progress. Yeah, I think that's true, Beth. Like, we build things up in our mind and we think that they're so daunting, right? And even things that she loves. She has too big of a list of stuff that she hates. Well, we're going to work on that. Okay, it's been really helpful to hear how you guys have dealt with this. And I hope that some of these strategies will really help you to, you know, just stop procrastinating. And it's easier said than done, I know. And I am not a perfect person in this area. I definitely, as the day goes on, I'm much bigger of a procrastinator. So just so you know, like, knowing myself, knowing my energy levels, and knowing the way that my mind works, I've learned how to work around that. And, you know, that's not anything I had on the slides, but I think that that is probably the biggest thing to help you guys, is to know the way that the tricks that your mind plays on you throughout the day, knowing what those are and figuring out how to combat those with the carrot or the stick. Because if you don't know yourself and know the reasons you're procrastinating, or the triggers that cause it, or the times of day, you know, that you're more likely to procrastinate and stuff, then you can't design a system that will work for you. So you've got to do a little soul searching and a little, you know, being real with yourself. Like, yeah, we'd all love to be morning people, but maybe you're not, you know, or I'd love to be able to stay up past 8 p.m., but I know I'm, you know, my body's not wired that way. Like, when it gets dark, I get tired and I'm not very productive at night. So just knowing the way that you're wired and using the carrot and the stick methods based upon that is the way you're going to be successful in conquering some of these procrastinations, and realizing, like I said earlier, like, these things that you think you hate, sometimes it's not that you hate them, it's just that you think you hate them because you haven't tried them enough and you're fearful, or you have a lack of confidence. So don't assume you hate them until you actually do them. Now, there are plenty of things that I have done and I still hate, and that's okay. Just knowing how to combat that is what we're talking about today. So thank you guys so much for showing up. This has been really fun. And I like to throw in these a little more like mindset hacks along the way with some of the really practical, like marketing and promotion and stuff like that. But, you know, after this, I'm going to get into, in the next few weeks, some more practical marketing and promotion stuff on Indie Interactive. So I'm really excited about that. I've got kind of a series in my mind of what we're going to be doing, and it's all related to marketing. So hope you guys hang with me again on Mondays. I love when you guys show up. I love seeing your comments, and I really appreciate it. If you guys are in the US, enjoy the rest of your holiday today. And thank you for hanging out with me on a holiday. Hope you guys have a great week and continue to make great music, connect with your audience, and grow your business. Have a great day, you guys.